It was a quiet Thursday afternoon in a small-town cafe tucked along a dusty road in Arizona. The place smelled of fresh coffee and sizzling bacon, and the faint hum of a ceiling fan barely cut through the heat. Emily, a young waitress in her early 20s, moved from table to table with practiced efficiency, her apron tied tightly around her waist. But beneath her calm exterior, something was off. Dark bruises marred her arms, the kind that screamed of someone trying to hide a story no one wanted to hear. Most of the regulars were too wrapped up in their own routines to notice, but one man did. His boots scuffed softly against the linoleum as he walked in, the sound barely audible over the clink of plates and low chatter. He was hard to miss, though a tall man in a leather vest, adorned with the unmistakable Hell's Angels insignia on the back. His hair was pulled back into a neat ponytail, and his eyes, sharp and observant, scanned the room like a hawk. He slid into a booth by the window, giving Emily a nod that was both casual and commanding. She approached with her usual smile, but he noticed the slight tremor in her hands as she poured water into his glass. Something about the way she flinched when a young couple laughed a little too loudly, or how she carefully adjusted the sleeves of her shirt to cover the marks, tugged at something deep inside him. "Everything okay?" he asked, his voice low but firm. It wasn't just a question, it carried the weight of authority, a presence that demanded honesty. Emily froze for a moment, unsure how to respond. She had mastered the art of nodding and smiling, of brushing off concern, but there was something in his gaze that made the walls she had built feel fragile, ready to crumble. I'm fine," she murmured, barely above a whisper. He leaned back slightly, studying her for a moment longer. The cafe bustled around them, oblivious to the tension that had quietly settled in the corner of the room. He noticed the way she avoided direct eye contact, how she kept her hands pressed tightly against her chest, almost as if shielding herself from the world. It was subtle, but he had learned to read these signs. After a moment, he pushed a folded piece of paper across the table toward her. She looked down, startled. On it was a number and a single sentence: "If you ever need help, call me. No questions, no judgment." Her heart raced, a mixture of fear and hope colliding in a way she hadn't felt in years. He stood, nodded once, and walked toward the exit. The heavy door swung behind him, leaving a faint echo that seemed to linger in the air. Emily stared at the paper in disbelief, the bruises on her arms suddenly feeling heavier, more visible, under the weight of someone noticing. For the first time in a long time, she didn't feel completely alone. The next day, Emily couldn't stop thinking about the man in the leather vest. His presence had lingered in her mind like a shadow, and the piece of paper with the phone number felt heavier than it should have. She worked her shift mechanically, serving pancakes and coffee, but every clink of a plate reminded her of the offer he had made. She was scared, yes, but for the first time in years, she felt a glimmer of hope. Later that evening, as the cafe closed and the sun dipped below the horizon, she found herself standing by the phone, the folded note in her trembling hands. After a few deep breaths, she dialed the number. The line rang twice before a calm, commanding voice answered. "Emily." Her eyes widened. He knew her name. I don't know if you can help," she stammered. I just don't know what to do." "You don't have to explain," he said. "Just meet me outside the cafe, I'll be there." Within minutes, a low rumble of motorcycles broke the stillness of the small town. Emily's heart pounded as dozens of leather-clad bikers rolled into the parking lot, their engines throbbing like a heartbeat. The man from yesterday stepped off his bike and approached her slowly, nodding at her to stay calm. The crowd behind him wasn't intimidating, it was protective. The sight was surreal. Emily had grown up hearing stories about Hell's Angels, but this was nothing like the fear she had imagined. He spoke softly, his eyes locking on hers. "You don't have to be afraid anymore. No one will hurt you while we're around." Her breath caught in her throat. She had spent months hiding, shrinking, pretending her bruises didn't exist. And now, a biker, someone she thought represented danger, was offering her a shield stronger than any police force or neighborly concern. Suddenly, the cafe door opened again. Her boss, Mr. Carter, stepped outside, frowning at the gathering of bikers. What's going on here?" he demanded. The Hell's Angel she had met yesterday gave a slow smile. "We're making sure she's safe, and trust me, no one's messing with her again." Word spread quickly through the small town that night. By morning, the story was everywhere. The local waitress who had been hiding abuse was now under the unexpected protection of the Hells Angels. People whispered, stared, and some even shook their heads in disbelief, but Emily didn't care. For the first time in years, she felt a sense of safety she didn't think was possible. The man handed her a helmet as he mounted his bike. "You don't owe me anything," he said. "Just remember that people notice, and some of us, we act when others won't." Emily nodded, tears streaming down her face. She watched as the group of bikers roared down the road, leaving a cloud of dust behind them. The town was still, almost in shock, but Emily's heart was lighter than it had been in a long time. She had been seen, she had been heard, and most importantly, she had been given a second chance. No one expected a Hells Angel to become a guardian, but sometimes the most unlikely heroes are the ones who leave the deepest mark.